What's going on, guys? Let's go ahead and jump straight into it. I actually have my daughter in the room, so if she talks or says anything, just keep in mind, sometimes we have the kids in the room with us. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight into it. So, we got some pickups. We got some recent pickups. I kind of relapsed a little bit. I said that I wasn't going to be spending any money. I did buy one card almost a month ago now. We're still waiting for it to get here. I'm really excited to show you guys that card. And this was Diana's idea more than it was my idea. I actually was like, you know what? I'm good. Let's not go to the card shop. If I go to the card shop, I'm liable to spend money. I'm just going to avoid it. And she was like, no, just go. Just window shop. And I'm like, no. And she's like, Orion, go. Like, this is what you do. You love it. You know, this is what you're passionate about. Just go. So I'm like, oh, okay. So we go to the card shop, and man, they had some pretty cool stuff, but like nothing that like I felt like I really needed. Then I was looking at the prices, and I was like, oh, maybe they'll be negotiable on this. Lately, none of the shops really in Charlotte have been negotiable. So I've kind of just taken a break from even going in and shopping. But I don't know if maybe there's a crash coming or something of that nature. We'll talk about that probably in tomorrow's video, if I do make a video tomorrow. But they're definitely willing to work deals right now. And I think it's because people are slowing down on buying stuff. Are you just spinning around? Are you just spinning around in the chair? You just want to be in the room with Dede. Anyways, they're finally willing to make a deal with me. And then I also have a stack of cards that I want to show you guys that I picked out from my binders. For those of you that don't know or that are new to the channel, I have a lot of graded cards, but that only started the last couple years. In the very beginning, I was collecting only raw cards, only ungraded cards, and I was building out binders. And I sold off all of my modern binders, but I still have all of my vintage binders pretty much up to 2010. So I picked out some cards that I think will grade really, really well, and we'll go over those. So now the grading pile is going from like 120 to like 150. My next submission is going to be a wild one, guys. It is going to be a very big submission. I haven't had any updates on my most recent submission, the third submission, so we're waiting on that. Hoping we can get that back hopefully in the next 3 weeks. That's when the completion date is up. So I feel like PSA is running behind right now and just trying to play catch up. They're super blocked up, but I am still going to trust in PSA. I know a lot of these cards aren't mint, but I paid $206 for all of these cards, and that's an average of about $21 a card. It's a really, really cheap average. And some of these cards are worth a lot less, but some of them, in my opinion, are worth a lot more. But let's go ahead and start off with the stack that I picked up on a budget for $206. I'm really happy with it. I had told Diana, like, thank you for pushing me to go to the shop, and thank you for just kind of supporting me in all the decisions that I make. I have been a good boy, so to speak, lately. I have been saving all of my money. We are in a perfect position right now to buy a house, so I'm very proud of myself for that, because it did take a lot of, me resisting, going on eBay, looking at auctions. It's been tough, guys, and like, not to, like, ooh, oh, woe is me, first world problems, we can't buy Pokemon cards. But, it's kind of for the best. And right now is probably not the best time to be buying cards because the market's crazy right now. So I just figured it wasn't a good time to go to the shop. But to my shock, they were willing to work a really good deal on these cards. And basically gave me like 60% market on these. This was an amazing deal, guys. Some would probably argue they gave me 50% market. But okay, starting off, we got the Blastoise GX Sun and Moon Black Star promo 198. We got our big Blastoise. Really, really nice card. You've got the original, well, that's not the original price sticker on the back, but that's just a random sleeve. But it was like $8, I think they had it marked at. I do think it's closer to like $18, $20. This one's a really clean copy, but that's the first one. We've got this really nice Heart Gold Soul Silver Black Star promo number 7. I wanted to keep this one, but it has a tiny hairline crease in it, but it's a really, really, really nice copy still. The Feraligatr, it's pretty cool. We got a bunch of water starters here today. Again, do not mind the stickers because the stickers are not accurate. They're just sleeves that I reuse. Up next is a super iconic, and I want to say this Feraligatr with the borders and everything, definitely a big fan of these. The Heart Gold Soul Silver Prime Pokemon and the Level X cards are definitely becoming cards on my radar that I kind of consider like to be grail cards. Here we got Wartortle. This guy's pretty cute. What do you think of him?
I love him.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. We got Wartortle from Expedition. This is number 92. This is a reverse holo. These guys are actually fetching quite a pretty penny right now, like the $40 range, which is kind of crazy. I picked this guy up for $6, I think. This price sticker might be right, though. $8, something like that. And then I think I paid, 50% of that. I think I paid like $4 for this card. So really, really nice card. That one's up on eBay. And half of these I've decided I'm going to sell immediately. And then the other half, or a little more than half, because I got a little attached to some of these cards already, I decided that I will be grading, which is going to just definitely make the turnaround a lot longer for me, but I'm willing to wait that out because the next submission is going to be crazy. Oh, Aspen, don't be so bored. It's okay. I'm almost done. Daddy's going to be done soon. We got Arcaludin EX 241 Surging Sparks. Anytime I see an SIR or like an alt art essentially for like $20, which this has the right price sticker on it for the $21.99, and then we paid even less than that. But anytime I see anything like that, that's just super affordable, I'm going to snag it up. So that one is up for buy. The last most modern card here is this beautiful Sun and Moon promo, Black Star promo 82 by Hitoshi Ariga. Dude, this Shining Lugia is absolutely breathtaking. This thing is gorgeous. They had this marked at like $30-ish, $30 I think, $29.99. So the price sticker is not the same one on the back. But that's probably what I think it's actually worth. Like these are, if you've never seen any of these Shining Legends shinies, dude, these Shining Hollows are beautiful. I think these are going to age really well. Guys, just take one more sec to look at this card. I think this is going to age really, really well. I definitely think that these are definitely more popular right now, and they're definitely on people's radars now. But, and the PSA 10 is definitely fetching, I think, like $500. But 100% worth it in my opinion. Okay, next up, we have this Venusaur from Supreme Victors with a swirl. And it's like mint. I think this one's going to get a PSA 9. So we're going to send this one in. But absolutely stunning with that Cosmo Holo. You guys can see the swirl right next to Venusaur. There aren't a lot of crazy good Venusaur cards, but this Supreme Victors Venusaur, the Crystal Guardians Venusaur, base set Venusaur, base set 2 Venusaur, Legendary Collection Reverse Venusaur. Those are like the most goated Venusaurs out there. And this one's up there with it. This one is beautiful. By Kuki Seitu. This card looks absolutely phenomenal. 2009. Pretty well centered. The back has some white dots, but again, I think it's good enough to get a PSA 9 at the very least. Yeah, definitely not getting a 10, but kind of worth sending in my opinion. Okay. Next up, we have this Level X Rayquaza C. This card looks awesome to me. The pink, the silver borders. That's why I think I'm going to become a big fan of these Level X cards. I think I have the Dusknoir Level X as well, but that's in my binder still. And I still have a lot of awesome cards in my binder, but it was kind of sad today. I took some stuff from the binder, and like my binder is becoming more of a skeleton binder now for all my vintage stuff. But I think it's important for me to continue trying to grade and learn and see, what happens when you send kind of played cards in. So a couple of these aren't that nice, but that we'll go over that stack in a second. And then here's the back of that Level X Rayquaza. Very clean. Probably going to give me like a PSA 8, honestly. But I still think it's worth it to send it in and get it graded. That one was like $20. That And then they gave me a deal on top of that. Then we got Shrouded Fable Persian. This was a really hot card for a while. It's pretty dope that I was able to just walk in and pick it up at the shop. Right now, Modern is trending down. People are not going as crazy over Modern, which is fair. There's a lot of this stuff out there. But I'm hoping this one will get a PSA 10. They had this marked at like $40. I paid even less than that. Very clean copy though. I like that copy. No, don't leave me. Don't leave me. Okay. Aspen's such a big girl now. Now she's just hanging out, coming to hang out in the game room and letting herself out. Okay. We also got this Latios. This Latios is beautiful from Surging Sparks. I haven't had great luck with grading this one myself. And honestly, in general, I haven't had great luck finding these in good condition. So this one looks like it's going to be a winner. I think this and the Persian, if the grader isn't too harsh on me, I think both of those will probably score a 10. Then we have the cards that I think will be in the kind of mid-grade era, both of these. One, I didn't even know this Gengar existed. This Gengar has been life-changing. I'm going to talk about that in a second. I love that Gengar. It's made me a huge fan of level X's now. You really have to see some of these cards in person, I feel like, to appreciate them. And in the 6 years that I've been in the hobby, I feel like there's so many cards that I've either forgotten or I just haven't seen in such a long time. But anyways, here we have our classic, iconic Turtle Boy Blastoise. And it's looking kind of sharp. It's looking like PSA 6, PSA 5, maybe PSA 7 if they're feeling really nice. But the holo is beautiful. So they had this marked at about $100 in the shop. So basically my cost was closer to like $50. But yeah, that's absolutely stunning holo. The holo is in really, really good condition on this, by the way, guys. Like this looks like it was in someone's binder because the holo is perfect. The centering is really good. And that's why I think this could be a strong 7 contender. If it gets an 8, I would lose it. That would be amazing. There's no way it's going to get an 8. But it might not even get a 7. It might get a 6 because 3 of the corners are showing whitening and there's some edge wear. So I think it probably will fairly get a 6. If it gets a 5, I'd be a little bit upset because I think it's nicer than a 5. But I really wanted to put this one in my binder and I wanted to get the crappier copy out of my binder and just sell that raw and then just keep this as a binder copy. But, because, you know, one huge regret I have, guys, and if you're ever collecting binders and you're collecting raw cards and you're selling and flipping stuff, just remember to swap out your nicest cards into your binder because before you know it, you'll make some big deal like I did. It was Collecticon 2 years back, and instead of going through all my binders and swapping out all the excess cards, like I had a bunch of excess holos, like old vintage holos, and instead of swapping them out into my binder with my more played cards, I ended up doing a deal and selling trading all of those holos away. And honestly, a lot of those holos were near mint. And at the time, they still weren't worth all that much. But looking back now, one, I should have swapped all those holos into my binder, my personal collection binder. And I should have just made the trade or the sale with all the more played copies and taken a slightly bigger hit on a deal or something. But it would have been, in the long run, right now, I would have way more minty cards. It's really sad, honestly, guys. I traded, if y'all don't remember, I'll jog your memory. I traded like 100 WOTC or 120 WOTC holos for like all kinds of sets too. Neo, Jungle, base set, a bunch of base set 2. I traded a bunch of that stuff for a Crystal Charizard and a PSA 8, which I ended up selling and then buying a PSA 10 not long after, because the 10, in my opinion, like the 8 was like $5,000. The 9 was like 6,400, or the 8 was like 4 something. It honestly, at that time, it wasn't that big of a jump to get a PSA 10. Now it's a very big jump. Okay. Last but not least, we got this Gengar level X. I'm sure this guy is going to get like a 5, a 6, or a 7. One of my favorite things about this Gengar in particular is that it has the same kind of color palette as the OG Fire Red Leaf Green Gengar. And the eyes, you guys aren't going to be able to see it, but well, maybe you can see it. The eyes light up with a holo unlike anything I've ever seen. Like, dude, it looks, this is such a, like, I love when I pay very little for cards and I can appreciate them way more than I would paying thousands of dollars for a card. Like, I know you guys are probably like, Ryan, that's BS. You probably appreciate your grails way more than any of these cards. That's not true. I'm telling you guys, I'm built different. I honestly appreciate cards like this. Like, you see the palette is like the same for these two. Look how similar they are. I honestly think both of these do deserve, with how low pop they are, they probably both deserve to be about 10 grand each in PSA 10. And Gengar is kind of like Charizard, and like Rayquaza. Like, it's super iconic Pokemon. A lot of people love Gengar, and honestly, purple looks so good. And I can see what this is going to look like once I get it graded. It's going to look really, really good in a slab, just like that. But yeah, it has the same palette as the Fire Red Leaf Green Gengar, and I like that it has the similar, it's got that Cosmo Holo going for it. Now, this was a 5 that I pulled out of my vintage binder that I just thought would be fun to see what it graded. And I'm happy with a 5, honestly. That's how I started collecting. I started collecting 5s and 4s and 6s. And I gradually, worked my way up. But now I actually want this stuff that's in the mid-grade era because you can get it for dirt cheap and then grade it and create so much more value. Now, this guy I do not plan on selling. Unless I ended up getting one in a 9 or a 10 at some point, maybe, but it's not all about the value and the grade. It's really about collecting on a budget sustainably and having fun while you're doing it. And it's so easy to do that. When you go to the shop, you pick out, a stack of stuff for, in my case, $206, and then you're going to get stuff graded and you're going to create so much value. Not only that, I'm already happy with this stack. And I contemplated starting over, and I've talked about this before. I used to have an acrylic box with all of my holographics stacked in sleeves. I know it's cringy when people say holographics. I had them, all my holo cards stacked in an acrylic box, and I liked it. I thought that it was dope. I would take them out, thumb through them. I like that more than a binder, so I may start doing that again, just stacking like tons of my favorite cards in an acrylic box. Of course, if they don't belong in the binder, because I'm still going to keep my vintage binders just for place holding. Like, in the future, if I find cleaner copies of cards, I can swap them out or I can grade them. But yeah, really wanted to put this Blastoise back in the binder, but we're going to hold off on that. This Gengar level X, though, what do I think this is going to grade? I'm going to show you guys the back. I think that it's very likely this could get an 8. I think a 7 is kind of deserved. And I think it's possible that it could get a 6. It's possible. It could happen. But let me know what you guys think. Either way, 6, 7, 8 for basically like $30 all in. Like, it's insane. I cannot lose. I can't lose on that. And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's going to be one of my favorite cards is that Gengar level X. Okay. Now let's go into some cards I pulled from my binder. Now, I paid for these years ago, so I paid way less for them. They are worth a lot more right now, even in PSA 8, 9, even if they're not getting a PSA 10, which none of these are probably going to get a PSA 10. But we have a mix here of cards from my binder, my vintage binders that I kind of scoured and tried to pick the cleanest cards. Like, I don't want to just grade to grade. I'm picking out stuff that I really like and stuff that not only do I really like it, but I think it'll do well grading. That's really important to me, to not just pick stuff that I think is cool, but to be smart about it. But when you're grading for your personal collection and you're keeping a lot of this stuff, you don't really have to like be that calculated. It's not that strategic. It's just like, I'm going to send these in to get graded. They're going to encapsulate them. They're going to be protected. They're going to have a market value. Boom. They're going to be, a little more difficult to store, but there's going to be a lot more value attached to these cards. But also, I'm grading for my PC, and I want a lot of these in first edition, but it's probably not going to happen. And when it does happen, it might be a long ways out. So I'm going to grade some of the cards that I know and love that I have in Unlimited. Okay, so starting out, we got my boy Pichu Pichu is very low pop in first edition and PSA 10, and it's pretty low pop in Unlimited too. Super iconic card, super iconic colors, very tough to grade. And I think that this Pichu is probably going to get a PSA 9, frankly. I don't know why they would give it an 8. Also, the holos are beautiful. Somebody in the live stream last night was saying, like, it hurts their soul that I wasn't showing a lot of my Grail cards as Neo cards. But I like Neo. I like all the Neo sets. I think they're dope. And the first edition Neo Genesis Lugia is definitely still on my list. But I want to see if the market cools down, because I just don't think right now is a responsible time to be buying these cards. But for me, grading right now makes sense. The values on a lot of stuff has gone up. I paid less for a lot of these cards. It makes sense to grade them now. And that's the fun thing about binder collecting. If you are a binder collector, you can collect that stuff now raw, and then later down the road you can grade it. Okay. But in the meantime, definitely saves a lot of money to buy raw in a lot of cases, especially if you have a good shop or a good source or buying someone's collection. Okay, but yeah, the Pichu is goated. So we got Pichu is the first runner-up. The back of Pichu looks very clean. Heracross, this one's very low population in PSA 10. And it's really clean, and this one really doesn't have a visible print line like a lot of them do. It has a gnarly hollow bleed though. Like you can see the hollow orbs right through those pincer horns at the top. Yeah, and I think this one's gonna do well. At least a PSA 9, which would be fine for me. I just want this card and I want to get it graded. And the first edition is so much money. Okay. So these are cards made up of my binder, made up of theme decks that I opened, and booster packs that I opened. So this is like, actually there are some pack fresh cards in here, and there are some theme deck fresh cards in here that I will be sending off to grading, and just kind of see how they do. I put them in my binder, and then I thought, you know, that's silly, Orion. You paid good money for those packs. You should send those cards off to get graded. If one of them hits a 10, that could be huge. Okay, next up, Skyridge. I'm a big Skyridge fan. There's no wonder about that. I wouldn't have bought a Skyridge Charizard if I wasn't a huge Skyridge fan. That being said, I was very picky about the holos I was buying for my Skyridge binder set. So some of these were really, really near mint, and I paid a pretty penny for them, pretty much with the intent on grading them, if I ever couldn't finish the binder. Which we didn't finish. A lot of my binders are skeletons now, but at the end of the day, like, you got to do what you got to do to level up in this hobby and make your collection sustainable. I still have the binders. I can always fill them back up. It will be very hard to find these cards again in the future, though. But here you got Arcanine. You got the Skyridge Arcanine. I believe I paid like 200-ish for this guy. It was a lot of money. It was a lot of money for this just regular holo. And it's pretty dang clean. I would hope that they would want to give it a 9. It does have some white dot corners. Could they give it an 8? It's possible. It would be really harsh if they gave it an 8, considering it's really clean vintage. But anything can happen. Alakazam. I think I got this Alakazam for $140, and that was a lot at the time. The Alakazam from Skyridge is sick, and if this graded highly, it would pair really, really nicely with my first edition base set Alakazam. Really, really creepy Alakazam, by the way. This is one of the creepiest cards in the game. That's also kind of why I love it. Okay. We got some Neo Revelation with Entei. Would I love to have these in first edition? Absolutely, I'd love to have these in first edition, but it would be really, really tough. And I already had them, you know, for 100 plus, a little over 100 for each of these. And they're really, really clean. So I think all of these are going to get 9s, to be honest with you. And I'm going to try and send them sequentially. So that would be cool if we got a sequential set. They all have swirls, whether you see it or not. Really, really nice. But yeah, I love Neo cards. I've been putting off buying the first editions for a while now. It's beautiful Suicune. Literally best Suicune ever. Right there. Flareon from Skyridge. Super clean. Super duper clean. I think I paid 180 for this Flareon or 150. Definitely up there, but when I saw the condition, I was like, dude, this I could either keep this in my binder or grade it down the road. Really, really clean copy. But it's not just about evolutions. Like, honestly, the Umbreon and the Flareon for me, and maybe Vaporeon too, kind of slap the hardest. Espeon's dope, but there's a lot of evolutions here. Neo Discovery Umbreon. I got this one not long ago from the shop. And I was just going to put it in the binder. I was going to sell it or auction it, but then I put it in the binder. I don't see myself buying the first edition anytime soon, right? We're buying a house soon. This is the poor man's Neo Discovery Umbreon, but it is still beautiful. And the back is kind of rough. I'm going to guess they're going to give this a 5. If they gave it a 6, that would be a win. It would be a win if they gave it a 6. I'm not going for perfection. I'm going to have fun sending these off to get graded and see how we do. Togetic. This one's beautiful. A lot of hollow surface on this one. So this one's going to be tough to grade. Really, really tough to grade. I like Togepi. I like Togetic. I think they're both sick. This looks like it's going to be a 9. Again, they're not going to give 10s out probably on any of these. If I get 10s on any of the vintage, it'll be insanity. Now, this Koga's Beedrill came straight out of a theme deck. So it is mint. It is literally like pack fresh, you could say. So I'm very curious to see how the theme deck hollows go. I did send a couple theme deck hollows in my last submission, or at least 1 or 2 of them. I know I sent a Glaceon from one of the Glaceon theme decks, and that's probably going to get a 9. Still worth more than the actual deck itself, brand new. But yeah, this Beedrill looks like they could give it a 10, but they probably won't because they're super tough on vintage. Here we got a Raichu that I got out of a collection. Super, super clean, pack fresh, right out of a collection. Not first edition, so really not like crazy value-wise. But again, guys, I'm just trying to scratch the itch. I'm trying to scratch the itch of not really buying anything right now. And I got all these cards in my personal collection, and I'm just like, why not grade them? Okay, this is also from a theme deck. This Mewtwo came from a Zap theme deck. I took a huge L on opening that, trying to get a Shadowless Mewtwo. But anyways, we did get a mint condition Mewtwo, and the centering is not bad. And here is the back. It's clean. It's really clean. I do think this one will get a 10. If they didn't give it a 10, it's because it's off-center on the back. But, like, dude, it's freaking WOTC. Give me a break. This Gyarados also, and this is what's cool about these, is you can get them from base set, but you can also get them from the theme decks, which is why the theme decks are always going to be goated. Because it's a guarantee. Okay. Right here we have the Gyarados, the basic Gyarados, and the centering could be a little bit better. The back is stupid clean, at least PSA 9. Potential PSA 10, but at least a PSA 9. So we got Gyarados right here. Right, the base set unlimited cards are going up in value, guys. And they're still pretty easy to get. Now, getting them in very near mint condition, that's tough. But, okay. Now, this one we pulled ourselves. That one, the Gyarados we pulled out of the Overgrowth theme deck. This Chansey we pulled on stream. We will be opening more base set heavy packs at 7,500 subscribers. So please, I rarely ask, but subscribe. Join the Discord. Join our community. Okay, moving forward. We opened this out of a base set booster pack. We pulled this Chansey ourselves on stream. Very special moment. It does have a tiny hollow flake, so I immediately just kind of sleeved it and put it away into my binder. But now I'm kind of thinking, why don't we see what they'll give us? Because the back is flawless. All it has is one little nick on the hollow on the edge, and they might consider that a factory flaw. And if this card got a PSA 10, it would be money. Yeah, the back is flawless, other than a white dot on the top corner, which very much looks factory on this corner right over here. It's a very, very clean Chansey. So I'm hoping that it'll make the cut. But either way, it should get. Most of these should get a PSA 9. This Pinsir I pulled from a heavy jungle pack a couple years back. Again, I just put it in my binder. I didn't feel like it was worth all that much. Someone told me to get it graded, and I never really did. I just didn't feel like this card was worth sending in to get graded. And I was also building my collection up. Grading gets easier when you have kind of an overwhelming collection. Grading starts to become a standard as you're filtering through your best cards and trying to challenge yourself and see, what's the highest grades I can get. But this pincer is very much off center, but the back is absolutely flawless. So if they could overlook the centering, which they probably won't, if they could overlook the centering, I do think that this card deserves to be a PSA 10. It's very, very clean. It's flawless on the back. And the surface is flawless. And they'll probably notice a trend with how minty all of the older cards are. And maybe they'll go lighter on me. Okay, again, Ninetales. This card broke our hearts when we pulled it on stream. This is a clean copy. Honestly, it doesn't really have any issues. This copy is off-center on the back and pretty well-centered on the front, but there's no issues with it. This Ninetales honestly should not have an issue getting a 10. I could see this Ninetales being the only one that gets a 10, which is kind of a bummer because this is the one I would least want to really get a 10, but it would still be sick to get a 10 that we pulled ourselves, 20-something years later. Okay, this for Alligator EX I picked up for cheap at the shop a while back. So we got this for Alligator EX. I love those hollow borders. Like, I could grade these types of cards in any condition, and it would be fun. And that's the best part about collecting. But here's the back. One corner is, very obviously has a white dot on it. It's very, very obvious up here. But the rest of it's, pretty solid. So I could see them giving it, a PSA 7. There's edge wear on the bottom. Maybe PSA 6, but I wouldn't mind. It would still be cool. Here we have another for alligator. We got a lot of for alligators and just water types. This is number 4 of Unseen Forces, and this is a reverse. This is a reverse stamp, and it is just sick with the gold lettering. I just think this card looks ill, so we're getting this one graded. This is just going to be for fun, and this art is so sick, guys. Such a sick artwork. Not the best condition though, probably PSA 6. Maybe if I got lucky, PSA 7. I honestly think with these mid-level cards, getting a 6, 7, or an 8, that's all, getting an 8 would be amazing, honestly. 5, 6, or 7 is what I'm hoping for on a lot of those. Okay, Team Rocket returns reversed stamped Dark Dragonite. I got this out of a collection for no money. I paid $200 for a massive collection years ago. It was the first big collection I ever scored. And it had this Dark Dragonite, which I was pretty obsessed about at the time. Now, as you guys may or may not know, the Dark Dragonite has skyrocketed in value. All of the Team Rocket Returns cards pretty much have. I don't really care for most of the cards in Team Rocket Returns, but I will say the Dragonite line is epic and probably one of my favorites. Might even arguably be one of the best Dragonite cards ever. I really like this card, but I also really like the OG Fossil First Edition Dragonite, which is definitely on my wish list. But this card's more like PSA 4, PSA 5. It has a really, really clean surface, really nice surface. But then the back is where it gets iffy. The back is kind of rough. I'm going to say, confidently, PSA 5. If you guys don't know, Team Rocket Returns and EX Deoxys, the quality of the cards is rough. The quality control is really rough. This one does have a swirl too, but there's silvering on that top edge, and I just don't see it. I don't see this card doing better than a 5, honestly. But still, the fact that it was so cheap and basically a free-to-me card, it's a win. It's a win regardless what this card grades, and I just want to get slabbed up because this is such a cool card. Here's another card, the Tyranitar Reverse from EX Delta Species. Really, really cool card. I love Tyranitar, so I'm glad to add this big Godzilla boy into the grading stack. I definitely need to clean some of these and wipe them down before we send them off, just with a cloth and some water, very light water. But yeah, this one's probably going to get a 4 or 5. If this gets a 5, that would actually be huge because the top edge is kind of trashed on this one. But And I don't know if the camera's even picking up fully on the conditions, but yeah. This Espeon reverse from EX Delta Species is beautiful. Probably going to be a 6 or a 7, but it's just gorgeous. It's in pretty good shape. Hi, baby.
I'm back.
You're back. It's in pretty good shape. I don't know if the camera's going to be able to focus in on it, but there she is. It's pretty clean. This is probably the most played card in here is this Dragonite EX. These are just some of the coolest cards that I picked up for next to nothing down the road. And I just wanted to share all these awesome cards with you guys and kind of just give you an update and make a video today. Because we're trying to keep a routine of making videos consistently. And then here's the back of this Dragonite EX. Pretty like clean, you know, like it's tough. It's tough to know what some of these are gonna do, but like the fronts, you can tell like they're more on the played side, but like it's kind of the lottery with some of these mid-grade cards. Like it's gonna be good. It's gonna be fun either way, seeing all these get graded. But anyways, guys, that's pretty much all I had for you. Had some really cool stuff that we brought in. Aspen's bored. She probably wants to play, so we're going to wrap it up, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. We might talk about the vintage market, what's going on there. People are calling for a crash, so we're going to talk about that. It would be very healthy. I'm sorry for all of the new collectors out there that don't want to hear it, but it would be really healthy for us to see some kind of retrace, some kind of correction. It would be good for us to see that. So, but without further ado, guys, appreciate you guys for tuning in, and see you later, everybody. Peace.